You see a lot of the more stern parenting commentary right now, and it's very punishment based. And like, I want the same thing. I want my child to be able to do anything and come to me and know that I love him no matter what, and I'm going to help him through whatever it is,
Yeah.
not abandon him or how do I discipline this accordingly. That's not the way that I kind of view parenting. I don't think that
Yeah.
that's what you're here to do. It's more shepherding than to be this judge. And there's this really beautiful quote. I'm probably going to misquote it by Sadhguru. And it's essentially saying that your child's not misbehaving. Society just hasn't broken them yet. And I'm just like, whoa, it's so true, because I mean, who cares if you're at a Four Seasons hotel and your kid's crying? Like, that's so abnormal. This is such a modern problem.
Kids cry.
Kids cry. You used to be at a fire and there was this whole community and you'd pass the kid along and it wouldn't be this thing and it wouldn't be faced with so much judgment. And I think with children, it's a really beautiful magnifying glass of how you love, because it seems like it's the most easy unconditional love, but for some people that's the only form of unconditional love. It doesn't go to your spouse or someone else. So I think surrender is a really great practice when it comes to romantic love. And for some people that's really difficult, because especially in the West, we have this idea of love is based on only conditions, right? That the condition list is endless, and there is an idea of possessiveness and ownership and expectations. So how do you get to a place where you can practice surrender within romantic love, especially if you have such a deep feeling of not being safe, of being unsafe, abandonment, whatever your personal baggage is that's making yourself get in the way of unconditional love?
It's a big question.
Yes.
It's a big question. I think that in relationship, we attract someone to us, or the person we attract them into our lives because they are a mirror manifestation of our own consciousness. We attract that person because they reflect to us aspects of ourselves that we need to embrace, that we need to heal, that we need to integrate, that we need to make peace with, that we need to surrender to, that we need to learn how to love. And so in a sense, there really is no relationship out there. It looks like there's a relationship out there in the form of another person, but really they're a mirror of who we are. They're reflecting to us our own consciousness. We are in relationship with an aspect of ourselves that is projected out there, that we magnetize that energy in the form of the person to us. So when we start realizing that relationship is a mirror, more than anything, it's a mirror. And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, if it's a mirror, do I like what I see? If I don't like what I see, then what we tend to do in the human realm is, I'm going to change you. I'm going to change you. I'm going to change this other person to try to get this person to be more of what I want them to be without changing myself. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try to get this person to compensate for my lack of feeling worthy or valuable or safe inside of myself, so that they need to be a certain way so that I don't feel this in myself. Mm-hmm. When in fact, they're showing us, they're reflecting to us those parts of ourselves that we get to heal and integrate and make peace with and bring loving to and release and forgive. And as we stop making it about the other person outside, mm-hmm. and start focusing on inside and start healing and doing the inner work to shift our inner domain, our interior domain, as we shift that within ourselves and as we heal within ourselves, we become more self-loving. We feel safer within ourselves. We heal our pain and trauma. We heal our own inner fear of abandonment. Now we stop projecting that onto the other person to try to get them to be a certain way so that we don't feel this fear. But now we're feeling more at peace and safe within ourselves. Then the less we'll seek that from others, and two things will happen. We will feel safer within ourselves, more at peace within ourselves. The other thing that will happen is either your partner will shift and change as a vibrational reflection and resonance and mirror manifestation of your change. Mm-hmm. And they'll suddenly start behaving differently because your patterns are likely intertwined in some way and you're playing out a dynamic in some way. And so as you shift, it shifts and they start kind of showing up a bit differently all of a sudden, seemingly. Or because you have shifted your energy and vibration, if they don't change, what will slowly start happening over time is because the relationship will no longer be a vibrational match. You will vibrate out in a form of either separating or divorcing or breaking up and moving into a different format of relationship because it's no longer a vibrational match anymore. And so that is a possibility. And so I would say the most important thing is for us to focus on shifting and healing within ourselves, because that's what will outplay and project out into the world in terms of what we attract, the type of person we attract, who we attract, and what we attract from within our partner in the dynamic of relationship. And so I think that sort of self-responsibility and willingness to focus on doing the work is the foundation and the key. We do that, relationship will shift, relationship will transform. And so I think the other thing is, so much of it does go back to childhood. And so much of it goes back to when we were babies and when we were young. Like you look at a little baby and they're playing and they're looking at you as the mom, right? They're looking at you and they're looking at you and they're playing. And I think to myself, wow, imagine if this kid, no one ever gave them attention. No one ever gave them, and it seems like such a little thing, but they're playing, they look, but imagine they go through a whole life where dad and mom or whoever, because of their own traumas, hurt, inability to be present for themselves, that they're not able to be present or they feel overwhelmed. This kid never feels like they receive that. And that's imprinted over again. Or maybe you never feel enough with your parent. You get B's. Your dad is like, why you only get B's? You should have gotten A's. Why you not more like this person? So in many ways, we experience that we're loved conditionally growing up as children. Oh, if you do this, little John, little Kute, then I'll love you. If you get all A's, then I'll love you. If you're a good girl, then I love you. If you act this way, then I get love. And we're constantly sort of adjusting and responding to our parents' looks and responses and reactions and emotions and sensitivities to gauge, oh, when I'm this way, I get more love. When I'm that way, I get more love. And so we unconsciously learn that love is conditional. And we forget. And so we have forgotten, sadly, that what we are is love. Our true essence is love itself. We are love. We've forgotten that we're love because we've been conditioned to believe that love is something you need to get. Love is something you need to achieve. Love is something you need to do something in order to get something, in order to get love. And so now we go through life being and becoming who we think we need to be in order to get love and validation. And then we try to control other people to get the love and validation that we are seeking. Look at all I did for you. Look at everything I did for you. But we're still in relationship with mom and dad. We're still back there projecting onto, look at everything I did for you. It's like, wow, it worked maybe when you were a kid, but maybe that's a working relationship. And so we have to remember that we're love, what we are love, and return to that and do the inner work to sort of clear the inner blocks, right? To feeling and connecting to the true essence of what we really are. And so love is not something you have to do to get. It is what we are. And when we can connect to that and reconnect to that inner connection of our own hearts and that inner connection to our soul and that inner connection to the divine, then we can become fulfilled, truly fulfilled with our connection to ourselves and our connection to source, the source of life, which is the divine, the source of life, which is the source of love, which is what we are, instead of making another person the source of our loving. And so in many ways, like children, we've made another person the source of our loving. And that sets up a codependent dynamic, right? In order to feel loved. And that's where we feel the limitation. So we have to learn, in a sense, to heal ourselves, to love ourselves. And I think through our spiritual connection, to find that deeper fulfillment to the divine, which is really what we are. And as we find that connection to the source of our own being, then we find the deep inner fulfillment. And from that overflow of, I feel connected to my essence, to myself. I feel I am enough. I'm whole. I'm perfect. Then we can go into relationship, and relationship becomes less about seeking and more about being. It's less about I need you. Now, this is how most of us go into relationships. But I need you. Like, I need you to love me. I need you to give me. I mean, obviously there are needs, but when we come from that lack in relationship, then it sets up a dynamic that is often not healthy, and then it's hard to be unconditional when we're coming from that need-based place. Because if I'm dependent on you making me happy and making me feel safe and worthy and what have you, then often it sets up a dynamic where I need to control you in order to get that. And that control sometimes doesn't come from a bad place, but it sometimes can come from just survival. It's survival.
Yeah, a lot of it is too. And it's, if you only love yourself on conditions, how can you love anyone else without them? And if I don't feel safe within myself, if my body doesn't feel safe, if I don't feel home within myself, if I don't feel belonging within myself, and I'm trying to outsource that to anybody, it's always going to fail, right? Like, if I don't feel safe and whole, I can't expect my husband to fill that deficit. That's something that I have to do.
No one can ultimately fulfill that deficit. Ultimately, I mean, obviously, in relationship, we can be present and show up and love our partners, with compassion and sensitivity and loving, especially if we understand that we're souls and we attract each other in order to learn, to grow, to evolve. And the real purpose of relationship is, again, evolution. When we understand that, then when your partner is going through their shit and they're activated and they're triggered, and you can have some compassion to hold the space for them, but we can't do it for them.
Right.
We can't, we have to do it for ourselves. And then from that place, come into a relationship, but we can hold the space.
Yeah. And I think that's an important thing to discern between, is you have people that can hold the space and they can help facilitate the growth, the change, new information, the learning. But when you have someone that is like, I'm going to do this for you, then you're bypassing it. I was talking to someone and they recently did like an ayahuasca journey, and they were saying that the shaman actually was doing the purging for him. I was like, that's a big no-no.
That's not how it works. It's
not how it works.
My fitness trainer was running on the treadmill for me. It's like,
I wish it was that easy. Go.
That's a business. That's a new business, right?
Yeah, no, but you have to feel it, and part of it is getting comfortable with the discomfort, because if you bypass it, it's going to repeat, and it's going to keep repeating until you're brave enough to feel whatever that thing is.